name is Carl Jorgensen. I was in Nepal 1 from 1962 to 1964. I was in Bhaktapur. I taught math, and I introduced modern methods of teaching English to the Kathmandu Valley and maybe to Nepal.
My name's Steve Joseph. I was the Peace Corps physician in Nepal way back in 1964, 1966. Changed my life.
Wow, fantastic. Okay, Ron Ranson. I served in Nepal from 64 to 66. I was in Group 4, and we were a 33-person education group. There were some librarians, but our job was to teach high school, and I taught high school during the day and then college at night. All the colleges in Nepal, universities, are taught in the English language. I've been back 3 times now over the years, and more recently connected with students and their sons and daughters who are now on the internet. Hello, Mr. Ron, you don't know me. I am the youngest daughter of Lal Kumar Shrestha and his wife Bishnu, who were your students in Sri Barinda College, that kind of thing. I have dozens of those. And one of the benefits is I've been able to meet these students really all over the world. We had a reunion in London 5 years ago with 5 of the students from the college. I've met them in Colorado, Los Angeles, Nepal certainly, Australia. It's absolutely been the most surprising thing of the whole Peace Corps experience. That it's not just 2 years or 27 months. It turns out to be a lifetime if you want it to be that. And my wife is involved now with Nepali Vibe. I just took my 2 boys to Nepal. I had a great time there. And Nepal is typical of so many of the Peace Corps countries. You get together with other volunteers, even now, and you talk about food. It was a conversation then, and it's the conversation now. So in terms of a metaphor, maybe the time that we spent overseas in our countries was the buffet. We could pick and we could choose. Some of it was okay, some of it wasn't so good, but overall there was a lot going on there. And then we moved to the vegetable section as we left the Peace Corps. And over all these years of being back in touch with some of my students, I put that in kind of the dessert section. What a wonderful, rich thing this has been. And now that I've gone back and taken my own children and wife back, now I'm into the frosting section of this whole Peace Corps experience. And I think that frosting section is going to go on for a long time. I'm relishing, I'm savoring every minute of this. So, thanks.
My name when I served was Brenda Terry, and I served in Nepal as a teacher 1964 to 1966. This was in the dark ages of the Peace Corps, 1964. Kennedy had brought it into existence in 1961, so this was 1964. My father, who was a very wise and intelligent man, thought he would never see me again. He was way ahead of his time, and he was absolutely certain that the Chinese were going to march down out of Tibet. They had just taken Tibet in 1959. They were going to march down out of Tibet and take all of us, and we would never be seen again. So he was totally brokenhearted that I would go and do this thing. And it, you know, wasn't too far from reality, because we all had this dark joke. There was no plan for Peace Corps volunteers to be evacuated in case of any kind of emergency like that. All the other Americans, all the other embassy people, they had evacuation plans. Military had evacuation plans. There was nothing for us. So our dark joke was don native garb and walk south, which would have taken us eventually into India. But of course, it wouldn't have worked for any of us who weren't slightly brown. We all were very obviously, most of us were obviously very much of European ancestry. Anyway, so my father was heartbroken and absolutely delighted that I survived. The story I can remember is a faculty picnic for the faculty from that school, and nothing would do, but I had to go on the picnic, and I couldn't bring anything, and we all went out into a public park set aside by the king for preservation purposes, and it was totally different from the city area where we were. Beautiful, beautiful, and they brought all the food, and they brought them in typical Nepali tiffin, we call them tiffin, layered containers. Wonderful feast food that everyone shared, except the Orthodox Brahmin, who ate all by himself and wouldn't touch anybody else. Was very friendly, very kind, very scholarly man, but brought all his own food and ate by himself. We had a very good time, and we had more informal time to talk with each other about our personal lives and about our cultures than we would have at school, because school was very busy, like schools are here.
My name is Jim Bromley, and I was in the Peace Corps in Nepal from 67 to 69.
Okay.
Anecdote? Well, feeling like I was part of their families. I can remember there's a holiday by Tika when older sister gives a little mark on the forehead of a younger brother, and she gave me like a powdered mark, and about a year and a half later when she died, I was invited as part of the ceremony to the funeral, and at that time the only people that were invited were direct family members. I ate many of my meals with their family, and I felt very welcomed into their family. It was a very good experience. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jim McMahon. I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Nepal from 1968 to 1970. I was an agricultural extension volunteer and made the rounds of the farmers every day in different directions from where I was living. And I remember one day I was starting to feel a little bit more comfortable with the language, which is, you have to learn from scratch, and it's very different from English, of course. And I spent quite a long time, 15 minutes probably, talking to some farmers there about better rice production and use of chemical fertilizers and insecticides and all the things we were taught to work with the farmers on for improving their crops. And I thought I was getting the message across, and so I said goodbye and started walking away, and one of the farmers, I heard as I was walking away, one of the farmers leaned over to the other one and said, "I didn't understand a word he said." So I was a little frustrated, but that was pretty typical in those early days. So hopefully I got better after that.
Hey, my name is Edward Branson. I'm a family nurse practitioner now in the health center in Dorchester, Massachusetts. But I served in Nepal from 1968 to 1971 in agriculture in the village of Hatiamoa, 100 miles southwest of Kathmandu. People came to me more often with health problems than they did agricultural ones. And so I learned a lot about aspirin and washing wounds and things of that sort, very basic level, but that led to my profession today.
Hey, my name's Rob Dolce. I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Nepal from 1976 to 1978, working on drinking water projects out in the far western districts of Bhadra. Peace Corps changed my life. I joined the Foreign Service right after Peace Corps, a few years after Peace Corps, and I'm just now ready to retire from the State Department and maybe going back into Peace Corps a little bit. Hi to everybody who's been in Nepal and everywhere else in the world. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nancy Long Dulce. I was in Nepal from 1976 to 1978 as a math science teacher. I was stationed outside of Walling in a town called Kewari Banjan.
Hello, my name is Jeff Roshto. I was a member of Nepal's 60 Math Science Teachers Group, and I was in Nepal for from 1976 through 1978. And I worked and lived in the village of Dailek in the Far West region in Berry Zone, and I just want to say hi to everyone there in Dailek.
Andy West, I was Nepal 60. I was there from 1976 to 1980 as a math science volunteer in Bandipur, and as a the University of Tribhuvan volunteer and based out of Kathmandu. Worked in the Peace Corps office and loved every minute of it.
Thank you. This is Doug Connor. I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Nepal between 1976 and 1981, math and science teacher.